Gotta hydrate. Let's get into this, shall we? Foreign language apps will convince you that you need to pay way more money than you actually do to become more fluent and conversational. That you're trying to learn a foreign language for free. All of the tips that I'm about to share will work for any foreign language that you are trying to learn. This is not your traditional learn your verbs, learn your nouns, learn your tenses. Instead, I'm going to talk more about things that you can do to expand your I'm going to talk about things that you can do to expand your phrase library. Building a phrase library helps your brain contextualize sounds as groups instead of an individual word that you need to translate each and every one. Because if you try and do that, you'll never be able to keep up with French people. They talk way too fast for that to be even possible. So here are 3 apps that you probably already have on your phone already that can help you elevate the way you learn French. The third best app that I'm going to talk about that you can use is a VPN. Not to be like a little hacker. What a VPN can do is change your virtual location. Your search results depend so much on your location. Say you're using Google and you search up quarantine 2020 in your city. For me, that's Columbus, Ohio. The results that I get here in Columbus are going to be way different than if I looked up quarantine 2020 in, say, Paris, France. Because it wouldn't make sense for me to see ads from France. And in France, it wouldn't make sense for them to see local news from Columbus. Quite frankly, they don't care. Using a VPN to change your IP address lets you see the content that gets filtered out in your American searches that you would want to see in other languages from France, from West Africa, from the Caribbean. This is especially helpful if you're going to a place where a dialect of French is spoken, because in classrooms you're probably going to learn metropolitan French instead of the actual local language. Let's, for example, in the north of France, people speak with a heavy accent called ch'ti. Because of that, if you change your IP address to somewhere in the north of France, I don't know, you can find news sources, local news, more social media accounts, and more things that are relevant to people in that area. So you'll be able to hear and read and see how they write and type and speak. Using this VPN made me feel like I was smarter than the FBI agent that's watching me. Hi, FBI agent, I hope you're doing all right. I would not use a VPN to get on Netflix. You can actually get banned from Netflix for using a VPN to change your location. Have fun, use your VPN, but don't get caught. The second thing that you can do to change your phrase library up is by translating the devices that you have. I'm going to use my iPhone. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into your settings. And then I just use Spotlight search because I ain't got time to click through all those profiles. So I just go here and I type up languages. And usually that'll bring up language and region. And you can take your iPhone language and just click and change language just like that. So say if I want to change it to French, but the French that's spoken in Canada, I can choose French Canada, or I can use just normal French. You'll realize how many different words that are used every day that you wouldn't necessarily learn from a textbook. Sent, delivered, read, maps, open, cancel, home, music, unlock, password, contact, voicemail. These are not the words that I learned at all in my 4 years of French education. But just from translating by phone, I was able to get used to them and comfortable seeing them. You don't want to do too much. The more you can increase your subconscious language exposure, the more that language is just going to come naturally to you, regardless of whether you're thinking about it consciously or not. This is the best language learning app that I have used that's not a typical language learning app, and that is social media. Social media is the best because it can help put context to what you're learning. Specifically, Twitter is the best for that because Twitter has a really great community where people interact with the tweets. So if you don't necessarily understand the French tweets that you're reading, you might understand what somebody says below, and then that helps you contextualize and understand what it says above. First of all, get the French content on your timeline. The more accounts that you interact with that are in French, the more French content will be brought upon. So the second thing that I do is read every tweet out loud. I'm just gonna go through some tweets I have on my phone, screenshotted here, and go through the process in which how I practice French by reading these. Vous pensez ça va être confiné dans combien de temps? My French accent is not the greatest. Do not at me. I'm trying. How long do you think the second quarantine is gonna last? And somebody had responded, j'ai envie de rire, puis est-ce que t'as dit d'aller là? LOL, c'est déjà évident. What's important is that PSK. Different written French is usually just phonetic French. Nobody's using MLA formats, APA format when they're writing a tweet. So when you read it aloud, it makes it easier for your brain to fill in the blanks that are left behind. Sound it out. P-s-k, 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 p-s-k. Do you see what I'm saying? Just a couple extra brain cells, man. Big brain energy, big brain moves, all 2020. Let me read this one out loud. VRMNT. Le bout qui se dit qu'il serait intéressant de rire de bananes, c'est un bon jour. The person who discovered that frying plantains or frying bananas is a good guy. VRMNT looks a lot like vraiment without vowels. And we would do the same thing with like BC, because I'm just guessing that boug means guy or dude or person based on the context. And even though I don't know what bonjour means, I can go through the comments and look. Another way that you can use social media to learn words that are like cognates and you want to understand what they mean. It says 13. Le fleur doit durer combien de temps pour toi? Based on the context of like all the questions were about love and dreams, I knew that le fleur has to mean not just like flirting, but what Americans would consider like the talking stage. The talking stage doesn't directly translate to French. Le niveau de parler, le niveau de parler. You know, young kids wouldn't call it that. So reading things like this tweet will make it more sense, and it adds context to when you say le fleur, you mean the talking stage. You do these other language apps and then you're actually trying to speak with somebody and it's not working. The best thing that can happen is that you really get to feel like you're practicing in a lower stakes environment, which is motivating. If you want to see more tips on how I expand my phrase library, using social media, using movies, I can totally do more breakdown. J'espère que cette vidéo vous a-t-il aidé, and I'll see you in the next one. Bisous.